Oh my God, ball speed, wow. That is biggest carry I've hit with a 7-iron on this testing trip. That has gone absolutely miles. I think I've just tested the longest irons for 2025. I've got the Callaway Elyte irons here. We're in La Cala in Spain, and I've got a great video to show you that these might just be your next set of irons if you're looking for more distance. Let's go find out. So we're here in the middle of the fairway at La Cala, and I've got the 7-iron. We always start with the 7-iron. Now, straight away, first impressions, this looks way better than the Paradigm series and the Paradigm AI Smoke series. I didn't mind the Paradigm clubs. I thought they were pretty good and they performed really well, but this is a huge step up in terms of aesthetics. On the back, I love how it's all silver. There's a bit of a textured back to it, but it all looks really classy. It sort of looks a bit like a Shrixon, which I don't think it's a bad thing. There's something interesting going on with the sole design, but we can get into that a little bit later. And then behind the ball, it just looks really good. It looks really premium. There is a little bit of offset and the top line is slightly thicker, but this isn't the apex line of players irons that Callaway do. This is supposed to be their players distance club, so you are sort of going to expect to see a little bit more meat in the top line and in the heel. But right, first hit. I like the way this looks behind the ball. Now we've got a sunny day and I am getting a little bit of glare off the top of the top line, which is interesting, but I'm sure I can get used to that. I use like a duller matte finish club, so I'm sort of just not used to that. Right, straight up there. It's about 160 uphill. Let's see how I get on. I mean, that has flown off the face. That wasn't a perfect strike by any stretch of the imagination, but that's come off the face really clean. Quite soft, but you can tell it's got some juice. Carries long there. Don't want to spoil it for you, but that was quite a big carry for a miss hit. Spin's not too bad. Ball speed's pretty high for a 7-iron for me, so that's a really promising start. So one of the interesting tech stories of this iron is this new sole design. So it's a tiered sole design. There's a couple of different ridges when you look at it closely, and what that's supposed to do is it's going to help the club move through the ground better, so that maybe if you catch it slightly heavy or the club just moves deep into the ground, the club's still going to keep traveling and you're still going to hit reasonable shots. You do sometimes see a playing partner, because obviously you'd never do it, where they, you know, dive the club into the ground and the club gets stuck. You can sometimes hit good shots like that if you get the ball clean, but this is going to help us keep that club moving through the grass, moving through the turf to still hit good golf shots. Maybe I'll try to take a divot with this one. Oh, wow. That feels great. Really strong. Like, that is really, really strong. Oof. Oh my God, ball speed, wow. That is biggest carry I've hit with a 7-iron on this testing trip of any of the clubs I've hit so far. That has gone absolutely miles, and that isn't even off a quick club speed. The big new thing here in the Elite irons is the club face and what they've done to it. So they've taken the same technology that they've used in the drivers, that AI face, and they've made it like variable thickness. They've got new tungsten behind the face, which is just making it more and more powerful. So these irons are super hot, and you're going to gain some distance with these. I'm absolutely certain of it. That is like ridiculous. That's gone so far. That shot went 180 carry off a 128 ball speed. So just for reference, when I'm hitting my blade 7-iron, I expect like 122 maybe on a good strike. So to see 128 and the ball flying like almost 13 yards further through the air is absolutely enormous. What I would say is, I mean, it feels like a good player's club. It doesn't feel like harsh off the face. The strike feels really nice, but it's fast. Like when I strike it and I see the ball, like the ball's just further in the air than what I'm used to because the ball's flying so much faster. But interestingly, my spin is still pretty good and my launch is not super low. So although these lofts might be slightly stronger than what I'm used to, what I've still got is a playable shot into the green. So in players distance clubs, something I'm usually looking for and I'm worried about is low launch, low spin, shallow descent angle, which just means I'm never going to get the ball to stop into the greens. But actually I'm spinning this almost up where I see my blade, which is a huge nod in Callaway's favour, and the ball's still apexing really high, so I'm really pleased with that. Right, let's hit one more before we go back to hit some 5-irons. Oh my God. I mean, if this was like just a game of like launching it high and smashing it miles, these clubs would be straight in the bag. Now, unfortunately, it's not all about that. That was even faster ball speed, 129. Oh my God. I'm just like, that's outrageous. 177 through the air. These clubs are pretty good. They might be something special, but let's go hit some 5-irons, see how I get on with the longer irons. Okay, so I'm stood here with the 5-iron now. The first thing that jumps out to me is the offset. So because I'm used to looking at something with very little offset, this club has quite a bit, which is just going to help you draw the ball a bit more, which is good for the player who this is designed for, but it just looks to me like I might send this a little bit left. So just something to be mindful of. Now I can actually see the back of the club head when I'm addressing the ball, which just means that there's a lot of help in this club. This one's a little bit more hollow. It's a little bit of a bigger head design than in the 7-iron, and that just stands out. So you definitely feel like you're going to get some help off this iron. So the 7-iron was super hot. Let's just see if this 5-iron is equally as good. Okay, bit thin, a little bit thin, just up the right side. Club speed was good, ball speed, okay, yeah, not bad. 5 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour quicker than what we saw in the 7-iron, which is not too bad. That still carried 194 yards off a pretty poor strike. That surprised me, to be fair. Launched a little bit low, not to be expected, I guess, a bit thin, and obviously these are quite power clubs, so the ball is going to generally launch a bit lower, but that's performed quite well for a miss hit. Okay, we're stood here with the 5-iron. We have had to change holes because there were some speedy Germans caught us up, stood waiting on the tee that were pretty unhappy. So we've moved on. We're on hole 11 now at Callaway, and if my cameraman had his drone, you'd be able to admire the beautiful scenery. Mountainous, it's brilliant. Right, so the 7-iron gave me pretty epic long numbers. Let's just see if this 5-iron performs as well. Oof. It's fast, that, you know. Now that's launched quite low, but it's come out hot. 135 ball speed. It's not massive carry, 182, but it wasn't a great strike. It was a little bit thin. But what's impressive is on that poor strike, I've still got a pretty decent ball speed there, and that shot's actually still got to the front edge of the green, and I'm putting for par or bogey or birdie or whatever this hole is. I would say, you know, that sort of off-center performance is there. I know that was thin, but the feedback through the hands was still pretty good. It didn't feel like a terrible thin like it was. Right, let's see if I can do this iron a bit of justice. Get down, Shep. Bit left. Bunker. Whoa, thank God. So yeah, that was a better strike. 136 ball speed, 190 carry, pretty good. It's launching really low, which again, now these will have quite strong lofts. Obviously these place distance clubs and Callaway, you know, in this sort of market category of club, we are fighting for the longest distance, so we are seeing that the lofts are sort of slowly creeping stronger. But there is plenty of technology in the head that should be helping me launch the ball up in the air. But that was a pretty good hit. Traveled a little bit further, ball speed 136. Spin's actually quite good, even though that's gone really low. So although that flight's probably too flat for me personally to hit into a green, it's strong, and if it was launching properly, then it would still stop if it hit the green. Right, I'm gonna try and hit this one a bit higher, see if I can do some of the work for the club, and I'm gonna hit this one a bit further right, because if I hit it left, I'll lose a ball. We can't afford that. Yeah, so better strike, definitely more up in the air. It's probably still a pretty good ball speed. So that last shot was really good. 138 ball speed, which is super hot. For a 5-iron, I wouldn't expect that from a 5, a 4, or maybe even a 3 in my own iron set. Carries up at 196, which I really like. And something that's really good is the spin. Spin's really high. So back in the day when this first player's distance category came out, then what we found was the ball would just rocket off the face with no spin. And personally, if you had any club head speed, then the ball would hit the green, it'd basically be unstoppable, and I found the irons unplayable. Now the brands have worked so hard, and Callaway have done an amazing job in this head in just allowing that ball to spin with the hot ball speed, which gives us distance and control, making this a really good player's distance iron. Okay, so the 5-iron was pretty good. It's gone quite a long way. It's gone a little bit low for me, but let's go hit some short irons and just round off this review. We're stood here with the 9-iron now. I'm further back than I normally would be for a 9-iron because these irons have been so hot with the 7 and the 5. Now this is the part of the set where I get a little bit worried as a low handicapper, because with these shots inside 150, I'm looking for maximum control. I'm not really bothered how far the club goes. I just want it to stop quickly, fly high with loads of spin. Yeah, that was really solid, really good strike, nice divot. Club, yeah, back edge of the green, you see, massive. So that ball's gone 150 through the air, 113 ball speed. It's launched at 18 and spun at 7,500, which isn't too bad for a 9-iron. I'm quite happy with that in terms of distance relative to the rest of the set. And actually, I quite like the way that felt. I know the ball's gone quite a long way, certainly for me, but it didn't feel super juiced, super hot. I think sometimes when you get those massive irons, you hit a shot and the ball rockets off and you don't feel like you've got any control. But because of the new speed frame technology in this head, Callaway have worked really hard on the sound and feel, so that even though these players are producing really good numbers on the launch monitor, they still feel really good. They don't feel like a super hot juiced club. They sort of feel a bit like a player's iron, which I do like and I do appreciate. I'll hit a couple more. That was flagged. Absolutely love that. Club twirl, that one. Too far though, get down. So yes, that was a good strike. Ball speed probably a bit hotter, 114 again. But interestingly, really good carry. That one's landed 1 yard shorter than the shot before, and actually that one was a bit of a better strike, and we're seeing 8,500 spin, which is pretty much perfect. So I'm giving Callaway huge props for making these clubs really well controlled. We've come a long way since the big headed, hollow headed irons came out and they were sort of almost uncontrollable, but these clubs have now been built in a way that a wide range of handicaps could use them. So a lower handicapper who wants a bit more distance can use them and still get control, and as well as a higher handicapper who just desperately needs more distance can also benefit from these clubs. Right, last one. Oh, pulled it. Get down, get down. That was me. Oh no.
Oh no.
Could be a lost ball, that. So pulled it. Now spins dropped slightly. Carry still perfect, 150 through the air. Ball speed's a little bit less, spins a bit down, so we've sort of, ball's just, traveling. That was pretty good. Right, I think we need to go sit down, have a look at the data and just round this up. Now, the first thing to say is these clubs have gone miles, but they haven't gone miles in the wrong way. What I mean by that is we haven't just got fast ball speeds with no spin, we've got plenty of control. So the 9-iron was pretty good, average carry 149, which is great, but the nice thing is we're averaging 8,000 spin, which is pretty good for one of these bigger hollow headed irons. Now, something that I really like is how tight my front to back dispersion is, and that's just a credit to the technology in the face. So on my best strike and my worst strike, the balls are still going within 2 or 3 yards of each other, which is exactly what you want if you're trying to be accurate with your irons. The 7-iron was great, 177 yards carry, which is massive for me. But again, 6,600 spin. The ball launched a little bit low at 15, but ball speed was incredible, 127. I'm really happy with how that's gone. The peak height's at 100 feet, which although you'd sort of think that these clubs are going to go too flat because they're so fast, actually that's a really controllable height. It's about what I look for, and I'm really happy with that 7-iron performance. The 5-iron is where we maybe start to see a bit of a problem. My launch angle was down at 7 degrees, which is pretty much too low for me to use into greens. Might be okay for someone who's not as bothered about the control and just wants the distance, but for me that's just too low. So the 193 carries pretty good, but it's just coming in too flat. I could only average a peak height of 65 feet with that club, which is just a little bit too low. It's a bit too hot for what I look for in an iron. But again, if you're looking for distance, then these are your clubs. Callaway have done an amazing job with the design. I love the way they look. Behind the ball, they're so clean. The silver design's great. And overall, this is a great set of irons. I think Callaway have really jumped up a step from the Paradigm AI Smoke iron set. They look a lot better. They're performing really well. And if you're interested in a decent set of irons to give you more distance, these are definitely worth getting out and trying.